I think Spirit just
Okay,
wants
well,
to move
Rising.
through you, sister, without reading.
Well, you know what happened? Every time I record here at this location, this happens. I noticed where it cuts off. I think it's the connection. The Wi-Fi connection is not the best, but that's okay. So we're not gonna stress. I'm just gonna record this on my phone, and I just want to go back to how we started and just say thank you to the Most High. I thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for providing for us. Thank you for this prayer circle. I call upon the angels again, um, the heavenly white light, our creator, our master, to just put the heavenly white light upon us for protection, a shield, protecting our family, our friends, the faith prayer warriors, grounding us to the earth star, connecting us to the heavens. These are all things I just mentioned, but I just want to say them again for those, um, since we're re-recording right now. And oh, I'm hearing uh, for our mental space. Yes, thank you, Baba. Please surround us, or the white light of protection around our mental space, our emotional space, our physical space, our creative space, our financial space, and any other part of us that we might need. I thank you so much. Thank you. I also mentioned that we went over last week, we went over Nehemiah in the Bible, chapter 9, verses 1 through 8 and 38. And then I heard Spirit tell me another verse, but I don't remember what it was. Let's see if it comes back to me. I think it was 21. So let's see here. What I'm going to do is find that real quick. 21. There it is. It says, "For 40 years you sustained them in the desert. They lacked nothing. Their clothes did not wear out, nor did their feet become swollen." That's a great reminder, Baba. Thank you. Uh-oh. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, if you were following along with us last prayer circle, we went, we started with just learning more in Nehemiah, and it was a wonderful chapter that we went over. So, and also and talking about sins and just confessing sins. And for those of you that are new to who joining the prayer circle as well, um, so we are non-denominational. This is not a Christian space. This is not any one faith specifically. We acknowledge all faiths that are based in love, because the intention of this faith prayer circle is prayer, not um, practicing any one faith, or and not trying to convert anybody to any one faith. We acknowledge all faiths, and we're here to learn. We also study different texts, different wisdom texts, different ideas, to learn about each other, right? And for the intention and the purpose to expand our connection with however we call the Creator, but most of all, as well, within, with our prayer, to expand our way of prayer and to pray together so that we could pray together and bring our power together. That's the most important part here. So I just channel different things. My name is Raven Jasmine. You can call me Jasmine, and I'm a psychic medium, a yoga instructor, and I channel. And so whatever Spirit's telling me for us to study that day, that's what I go over. Or if there is something that maybe you sent in an email or a message to me that you want to try to look at, or verses, so we can learn more. We're so open. Just send emails to faithprayercircles@gmail.com, and then we can go over that. Also, if you have a prayer request, those are always welcome, and I appreciate the prayer requests, and we can go over those as well in private or in person. So, with looking at Nehemiah, verse 21, it's very fitting for what Brooke and I were just talking about actually before I started the first recording, and we were just talking about how things tend to be, Spirit told me, the infrastructure, this was the word that Spirit specifically dropped to me, and I don't say that word, but the infrastructure of how the financial system is, how things are just set up for people to be paid, to get what they need for whatever job they're doing. It's just not a fair energy exchange all the time, right? We think about teachers. It's not a fair energy exchange all the time. There's a position work, new work I'm doing, and I like it. I enjoy it, but it's not a fair energy exchange. And with the way that cost of living is and whatnot, for certain people, there's seems to be more demand of people's energy, but not enough of giving back that energy to support how much the demand of the cost of living is as well, right? So going back to it made sense that when I'm thinking about the Bible now, and Spirit told me to go to verse 21 in Nehemiah. And again, 21 says, "For 40 years you sustained them in the desert." In the desert. This is a great reminder, and I needed to hear this, guys. Just to remind me, keep on going. For 40 years you sustained them in the desert. They lacked nothing. Their clothes did not wear out, nor did their feet become swollen. And if you want, you can keep going from there, but I'm so grateful, Yahweh. I'm so grateful. Thank you, Baba. Thank you, Yahweh, for that message, for that reminder, because just reminding us, if we look back, and if I look back, right, on everything that we've been through, if we are here enjoying this prayer circle today, in whatever time and space you are enjoying the prayer circle, that means you made it through your desert, right? We've made it through our desert. And we haven't lacked anything. If we did, we wouldn't be here, right? In their case, their feet were not swollen. So that's like saying they weren't even scarred. They weren't even, hurt. And some of us, yes, came through, got here scarred. But it just shows the dedication, what is the word you think, Brooke, that Source has? The love, definitely, definitely. That's the word. But I was also thinking of, what is the word? It's basically just carrying us through. That if you have a purpose, if there's something that Spirit wants us to do that we're supposed to be doing on this planet, there is nothing that's going to get in the way of that. There is nothing that's going to get in the way of that. And to remember that even if something feels like a desert, right? It feels dry. It feels like not enough. It feels maybe unsupported, or whatever that desert feeling is for you, that lack. I just heard Spirit say lack. To remember where you came from, to remember where we came from, and how actually that was an illusion. Because what happens in deserts? Mirages, right? Where illusions, people can see things, especially if you've been too dehydrated in the desert. There tends to sometimes be illusions, and that there is lack, that there is nothing. And really, society, the way we're in today, has made us think that beyond the basic needs of what a jungle, a forest, an ocean provides is what we must have. And if that's something that we don't have, we are just lacking everything. And I fall into that trap. I fall into that trap just like everybody else. When I go to the forest, I go to my nature spaces, and I reconnect and I reground and I remember who I am, what I need, and come there and feel and remember, I don't really need much, and feel satisfied just with those basic things there and basic necessities. Then coming back into cities and on social media and all the things, and then it starts making you think you need more, we need more, we need more. And if we don't have those things, something's wrong. So I appreciate this reminder, Yahweh. I appreciate this reminder that I have more than what I need. I have more than what I need, and I'm so appreciative. I'm so grateful for everything that I have right now in this very moment. The tools, the resources, the family, the friends, the connections, and the money, and all the open doors and the opportunities and the experiences, the clean air, the clean water, my body working well, my mind working well, my heart working well, my bones, my body, my lungs, everything getting stronger and even more and more and more and better health. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking care of me, taking care of the tribe, taking care of, mm, I heard Spirit say the whole vibe. That's funny. Taking care of the whole vibe, yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, do you have anything to say on this, Brooke?
I was sitting um, with the strawberry moon and drinking some moon water that I had made, or some moon tea this morning, and thinking about um, how on these full moons, like most people, that's the only time most people pay attention to the moon is when it's full and bright and big.
Yeah.
Right. And that's fine if that's all you're tuning into. But that full moon is an invitation to just go sit outside and be like, wow, look at that thing, right? And people take pictures of it. No one's taking pictures of a new moon or a half moon, right? Um, and just how interesting that it is that it's always there and that people will only see it in its fullness and they'll only really enjoy it in its fullness, but it's still doing its thing all the time. And if anybody went out last night to look at it, it's a reminder of how small we are. And it's a reminder of how incredible of this rhythmic system that's holding us and been holding generations of humans. Um, and it pulls the tides and it pulls the water in and out of the plants, and just like how incredible it is. And it makes all of the things that we're worried about feel really small
Mm.
just to sit out under the moon. And so I just want to presence that it seems in alignment with, what you're bringing up. And as I was thinking about, what the moon was illuminating for me, um, the bottom line question became, how does, where does creation want to move through me? Right. And that question. And it's a really loaded question. It's going to lead you down a lot of little valleys and things about where you're not being in alignment with yourself, or maybe where this hard thing. I was talking to my daughter last night, and as a mother, it's very hard to love your children and also know they got to sit in their shit sometimes and that you're not
Right.
supposed to save them. And if we can look at our children and know, I can't save you. And there's a lesson for this in you, or there's a lesson for you in this process you're in. And even though you're saying help or wanting to run, I just encouraged her last night that, like, to pray every day and ask, how does the divine want to move through me? What is the messages? What is in the way? What do I need to clear? What stories are getting in the way? What boundaries am I not holding? Where am I not in alignment? Please show me. Um,
And also, where are we in alignment? That's
mhm.
something that I've had to remind myself last night when I was feeling very frustrated with just job stuff and um, reminding, well, what is working too? And I asked God, I said, can you remind me how much you love me? Can you remind me how much things, what is working? So can you help me remember to focus on those things, stuff like that. And so, and I prayed that yesterday, and then it's only fitting that, we're talking about what we're talking about today. And I wake up and I tell you my frustration, and now we're talking about that reminder now. But um, also, I love us asking the questions, and I've done this for so long of, self-analyzing, like what isn't working, show me the things, and that's a good one. That's definitely a good one, because God will bring that, and sometimes it can come so abruptly. We ask the
You gotta be
question we
careful
weren't
what you
ready to
ask. Yeah.
we weren't here to answer. But even vice versa, that's what I was feeling last night was, man, I asked God to show me how much you love me, like, you know, um, are you ready? That kind of part too. It's like, are you ready? You know, um, and that's not supposed to be a scary thing or anything like that, but
Mm-mm.
it can be surprising when we ask God for anything, and because we are loved so much, and because we are so supported, and our God wants to answer our questions, um, we do have to take some time to really think about what we're going to pray about or what we ask. Um, and even I've learned in prayer so far over the years that prayer at first used to be about asking for things, you know, a gimme, gimme, gimme kind of thing. Where now prayer is more, uh, over the years, has become a focusing on what is working, almost just a practice of affirmation, even of reminding myself of what is working, of speaking out gratitude for what is happening. Thank you, Yahweh, for this medicine work right now. Thank you for this friendship with Brooke right now. Thank you for this connection. Thank you for my health right now. Thank you for the job I do have right now, the few jobs I have right now. Thank you that my children are safe. My children are well. They have more than what they need. They're having fun this summer. Thank you so much for the access that I have to my favorite nature spaces, and just many more that are available. And thank you so much for clean water. Thank you so much for clean air. Thank you that I can breathe well. Thank you that my
Mhm.
mom is healing. Thank you. So we just keep going on. And this is a prayer. This is a prayer. This is
So
also a prayer.
I think I feel called to add in here.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. And gratitude is an important practice. And sometimes we get in this idea feeling that like God is above, like we're having to give gratitude, or, kind of the evolution of prayer for a lot of people is they start with asking, like, can you please give me? And it's like, nah, like you have to call it in. And yes, you have to give gratitude in your calling things in, and that evolution of a prayer practice makes you realize that we are all in relationship constantly with the divine. It is the divine is moving through us, the divine is one with us, the divine is in front of us in every face we see, and every bird we hear, and every bit of the wind we feel on our skin, and the rain and the sunshine and God's in all of it. And what that expression is, what this like manifestation of, I have to share with you, there's a song that I like tweaked and fully made up this weekend in ceremony, and it was magic. So I need to sing it. We need to sing it together. But um, that's the energy of this song that was moving through me is um, what do we want to create? Like God wants us to create. God doesn't want us to live in this world that someone else created, this structure, this thing. And so we get these like crunchy, edgy parts of questioning because we're getting away from creation. We're getting away from creating the world we want to live in and dreaming that world up, and being in this active kind of soup of creation. And yeah, so like how can prayer be that? How can prayer be this surrender of like, how do you want to move through me? How does the energy of God want to move through my body today? And like you're a wonderful example of that in the way that you walk in joy, and the way that you walk in each space, and the way that you pour love, and the way that song moves through you. Like the divine is constantly moving through you, Mama. And sometimes when it's getting hard, we forget that it's moving through us. And
Yes.
and I know I'm guilty of 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 surrender to the composting parts of the divine moving through us. um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I've been sitting in that energy of like the compost is divine too. The compost is how flowers are growing. The compost is what makes the soil fertile. And how can we honor the composting as well as the flowers?
Yeah. And and speaking of moving through like things as well, is I've been feeling. I mean, you can even hear in the tone of my voice and just the way I'm kind of just this agitation that's happening right now, and having compassion and mercy to myself yesterday, and really my frustration is being, thrown out more towards work and whatnot. Being on my period is one of those things. I mean, I'm not on my period, but I'm about to start. So I notice, I can feel, and whenever this has happened where my period is coming up and the full moon is happening at the same time, and I feel this agitation. It's not as strong as it used to be when I had some really gunky stuff that wanted to come up and out of me, but this is a part of what you're talking about. Like, the spirit is moving through something and it's coming up in agitation. Take notice, and I'm speaking to those who are watching this, who will be watching at the right time. Take notice, because Brooke knows this too. When the full moon is coming up, if you, I noticed the first, like the 4 days before the full moon, um, as the full moon's coming, usually, and notice, just take some time to really observe this. Either we're really agitated, or the people around, maybe you notice some people are agitated, and that's only if there's something to move up and out of us. And then the full moon comes and gives us opportunity. It's like to birth out that thing, right? So you think about the full moon being like a mama's hole, letting out the baby. It's fully open now for the baby to come out. And I took some time over the years to observe and witness myself every month as this cycle is happening. And what's happening with the full moon? I mean, scientifically, we know that the moon is pulling on water, pulling on the ocean tides. The tides get a little higher during that time, but we are also more than 90% water. So the water is definitely being shaken up within us as well. We also know that water is connected with emotion and certain things in certain cultures and energy. It's a way to describe emotion. But if you take time to witness yourself, right? To witness yourself, it gives us opportunity to learn more about God, to learn more on how to flow with God, and to see and witness God moving in us, as Brooke was saying. Because I know for me, I was well aware yesterday, before even coming into this morning, but I was well aware that, oh yeah, the moon's happening. The moon's moving, and also I know I'm about to start my period at the same time. So there's also a woman's cycle that allows us a process of clearing things out, not just physically. Um, our body cleans itself physically every month, but emotionally we're going through something that's clearing us as well and giving us opportunity to let that die out or birth out and just be. Um, and I know for me it showed up as agitation and whatnot, and usually we want to cover that agitation. I know I used to want to cover that agitation, and still
Mhm.
slightly now, with snacks, right? Eating my snacks or whatever it is that we usually do, and very a full moon for those who have their periods and don't have the periods could very much feel like the process of a woman PMSing, going through the process of PMS before the period comes. And I'm not necessarily talking physically as far as maybe cramp pains or whatever, but emotionally, energetically, what is happening there is how the things are flowing through. Now, this is my own opinion. I don't know the science behind any of it. I'm only speaking from my experience of witnessing how my body has worked, and how I noticed that what happened as the full moon came, and what happened as my PMS came when there wasn't a moon. and how I noticed, oh wow, I feel similar in those times. And then it was always felt like a double whammy for me. If the full moon and my PMS, it comes at the same time, then it's
So,
really
yeah, let me speak to this a little bit
hard.
because I just on Sunday I held a red party for my neighbor's daughter who got her first period.
Mm,
And we sat around and spoke about, I gave her her first period journal and explained the different phases of the moon and how the different phases of the moon and the different phases of the wheel of the year, your spring, your summer, your winter, and your fall are a cycle, and that the moon is in those same cycles, and that your body is dancing within those cycles and may be in alignment with them, and it may not be. And those are all growth periods. And we live, again, speaking to this like dreaming and creating a world. You know, these little girls didn't know anything about this, but we live currently in a world that is created for the linear body function of a man, that is created based on a calendar that has absolutely nothing to do with our bodies or the earth. The Gregorian calendar, in my opinion, gotta go. And we should be syncing our rhythms, our children's rhythms, our schedules with the rhythms of nature, and we're not. So, you know, year round, we're running the same schedule because that's kind of a male solar thing. It's a little bit out of alignment, but it's closer to the way the male body works in relation to the sun. And the female body works in relation and cycles with the moon and the earth. And there are currently companies run by women who are literally putting their periods on the calendar, on the work calendar, which is an incredibly vulnerable share, and saying, okay, you're in this phase, you're in the spring of your monthly cycle, we're going to give you this work. You're in the winter of your monthly cycle, we're going to give you this work. And honoring the way your body moves in through those cycles is something we are currently creating. So you're sitting with, I believe, when you're getting your moon in your body on a full moon, it's a challenging time for a woman. It is easier on my body when I'm getting my moon on a new moon. I'm in this like in this phase of like kind of really deep listening and darkness when my body's wanting to be in deep listening and darkness, and your body's itself is in a very crunchy time. And for women to know and feel grace and feel surrender that in those crunchy times, yeah, you're gonna look for snacks.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's okay
yeah.
because making yourself feel good, you deserve that when you're attempting to force your body to go to work when you're about to cycle into the full moon. It's one of the harder things that a woman's body can do, and no one ever told you that.
Mhm.
Right? No one ever told us that as little girls. No one ever told us to watch our cycles with the moon and understand and track it and give grace and understand our rhythms and listen to what our body needs. And the system tells us to tune out from it anyway. So we are in this like tension, sometimes more, sometimes less, living in a system that wasn't designed around our bodies.
Yeah, 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 that's definitely true. And there are those days when I feel whether it's the full moon's period happening or my PMS or the moon about to come within me, um, or the combination of the two, where I definitely have taken off work, or I've definitely have said no, 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 just boundaries up all the way to
Mm-hmm.
whoever's asking me to do whatever, or I avoid going to certain places, or
Mm-hmm.
avoid certain places um, at the time because the energy of my body is just more vulnerable. Our the chakra of our sacral of our root chakra is those chakras are more susceptible to um, energies that to absorbing energies that are just not conducive for our well-being, and there's certain even medicines, like I know a teacher, I love pure tobacco. And I just feel to give that tool to someone who is hearing this at the time, and maybe you want to try this for yourself. But I know what helped me, and I only speak on what I've actually tried, and what helps me, um, and what has worked for me, and what has worked for me might not work for another person. It's just giving you an idea. Um, Mapacho is one of those medicines that I absolutely love. Now, mapacho is a pure tobacco. It's about like 100 times more nicotine in it than
It's
uh,
super hard to get though,
yeah,
so caveat that.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you got to know some people to get it from the right places.
You got to know some people to get this. But that's not to say you can't grow your own tobacco. You
Mm.
could, I heard some friends tell me that that's pretty easy to grow depending on the area you're
I'm
in.
about to try to plant some. I got some seeds.
Yeah, nice.
Mhm.
And the purpose of tobacco, and well, let's even speak on mapacho specifically, because mapacho is something that's like 100 times more in the level of nicotine in it than like normal cigarettes that you would get from the grocery store or something. Um, and I used to smoke cigarettes. Okay, I used to smoke Marlboro Reds. I used to smoke all the other
I
stupid.
didn't know that.
Yeah, my ex used to smoke that. My mom used to smoke Newports. My grandma smoked cigarettes. I grew up with my grandma smoking in the house, also with all the angels all around and praying. Like it was just normal in that time, and for everybody to smoke indoors. Um,
Parts of it is not wrong. Like now that we know that there's
yeah,
actually a relationship with tobacco that's real,
right.
and that it is a prayer medicine, having that tobacco around all the angels really wasn't wrong. Probably
Yeah.
just maybe the chemicals that was in the cigarette
Yeah, yeah,
wrong.
and that's an interesting point that you're saying there. It's so funny because tobacco was always a medicine that was used in combination with prayer, and I think this is so timely and so beautiful that actually we're bringing this into the conversation of the prayer circle because if you think of our native, some of the native ancestors, and not just of the American natives, but but tribes of even the aboriginals, different all over the planet, tribes would use tobacco as medicine and a tool for prayer. And it was not meant to be how, uh-oh, maybe she'll come back. It was not meant to be utilized in a way that gave us cancer and, with all the extra chemicals put into it and all that stuff. And it was something that relieved stress, but it was not meant to be a stress reliever that made us smoke it. Because I remember I used to smoke to relieve my stress, but complain, right? I was complaining while I was smoking. I was complaining while I was smoking and blowing out these prayers of complaints, of complaints, of complaints. And so just reminding us that, even when we're using tobacco in that way, oh, maybe she'll come back in here, that we have not just tobacco, but just in general, anytime we're thinking, we're speaking, we're putting out prayers, it's supposed to be a medicine to help us. So what I did when I smoked cigarettes, and hopefully this helps somebody who's trying to quit, I smoked for like 7 years or maybe a little longer. And then I wanted to transition, so I went into a pure tobacco. I would use American Natives, I think they're called, this other brand of cigarettes. And so I'm just talking about how I transitioned out of to smoking for anyone who wants to know. And I went from the chemical cigarettes to using this cleaner brand, which is was only tobacco and water. And I think it's called Native American or American Native or something like that. Anyways, it was a cleaner, only water and tobacco kind, right? Still not as good, but it was better. And then I transitioned from the ones that were rolled up, because there was a difference in the ones that were already rolled up to the ones that was loose tobacco. That was just loose tobacco that I could roll myself. Same brand, but I could roll myself. Then eventually I got connected, and just the universe, I think, was meeting me where I was prepared and ready to learn and grow and expand. Just would connect me to people who had access to tobacco that was more hard to find, that was more clean, more pure. And I would make my own rolls, spliffs with that tobacco and new medicines that I started learning about, such as mullein. I would use mullein. I
I
would
was about to
stick
say play with other things. Like I have things where
with that.
I and I like a pipe. I do.
Yeah, those are
Rather
those.
than rolling, I don't know what it is. I really like a pipe. And they make really cool ones out of really cool earthy materials. I have a togwood, like a nut that is a
Oh,
pipe. It's really fun.
oh, nice.
Um, but you can smoke lavender, you can smoke chamomile, you can smoke Damiana, like and they're plants where you're receiving the energy of that plant. They might activate your dreams. Like there's so many beautiful things, and I have a brother who mixes his herbs that he's prayed over with some tobacco, and it's a magical prayer blend that he shares with us. You know, make it a relationship.
Yeah,
I've had.
that's what I had to learn when I was, that's
Mhm.
what actually transitioning from even the pure water cigarette ones, water and tobacco, the pre-rolls, to the process. Spirit was just teaching me the process of slowing down, rolling your own, made me have to slow down and not give in to that quick fix that I wanted. I had to slow down. I had to, it made me look at myself with it. It gave that energy, whatever was moving through me that wanted that quick fix. It was giving it time to pass through and let me watch it. It also gave me time to pray and give thanks for the medicine that I was rolling in front of me, to connect with every herb that I was putting into that spliff. And then also, mixing it with mullein, with sage, with lavender, with blue lotus flower, or different things. It helped my lungs start to heal and slowly get stronger, because I was no longer consuming tainted tobacco. It was pure tobacco, and I got to limit the amount. Slowly, I would just put less and less and less, but I was also taking in medicines that helped heal me along the way.
I think the process is also like because my husband has a relationship with a couple of different plants that he gets at the store. And I'm like, okay, let's grow them. And like, what's the ceremony around them?
Hmm.
What is the intention you're putting? And I think that slow rolling or that, holding the actual herbs in your hand and packing them in the pipe, even that little bit of added slowness instead of pulling something out that someone made causes you to really ponder your intention.
Hmm.
Why am I doing this? And like with my children, that we live in a world that feeds us all kinds of addictions. I particularly love tea. It's caffeine. I've had to deal with my relationship with that and like ask myself, why are you doing this? Are you doing this frequently because you're not getting enough sleep? And there are addictions all around. So why are we doing this? Why am I smoking this right now? And am I smoking this because I'm stressed out and I'm trying to do this? Because sometimes smoking is just to force yourself into breath and deeper breathing. Sometimes it's because your head's spinning and you want to get out of your head. Like just ponder why. Why am I doing this? What's my intention? What's going on with me that's causing me to go for this? And then in that questioning, you start to develop a relationship because then it's like, Okay, why is this the thing I go to? Why do I go to tobacco instead of weed? Why do I go to weed instead of tobacco? Once you grow a relationship with chamomile or lavender or blue lotus, when is it that my body wants this thing and why? What is this thing giving me?
Yeah. And going to back on the topic too of why I even brought tobacco into, because when we're on our moon, when we're on our periods, and our
Mm.
yoni, our uterus becomes a vulnerable space susceptible to absorbing heavy energies, because that's blood, right? That's blood right there. That's a dead being that is passing through, right? That didn't make it into uh, incarnating into this lifetime. So there's really death happening at that time. And certain energies like death, right? Like what do there's birds, there's certain birds that come to dead carcasses naturally. If you look at nature outside of our body, when there's death happening, when there's animals, there's beings that take care of that for us, right? They pick at it, and then there's also parasites that come to some of those things. There's worms, there's all kinds of, sorry TMI guys, but there is a natural way. It's not woo woo, it's not wild. There is just a natural way that the universe has designed for the ecosystem to recycle itself, right? To recycle itself to create this compost that Brooke was talking about. And the moon cycles do this for us as well emotionally, and then also our body, moon cycle, our periods also do this for us physically as well. And so when this process is happening, our ancestors knew, okay, there are some energies that would try to come and be attracted to the death area and what's happening there. So what I've experienced was a teacher bring to me mapacho, which is one of the tobacco medicines I was talking about. But there's other tobacco medicines, it's not the only one. This is 100 times stronger in nicotine than regular cigarettes. You don't smoke this one. This is not one you would want to take in, for your health. It's one that you would use just to send a prayer, right? To just puff for a second, to heat it up, get the smoke, and send a nice prayer out to cover yourself energetically. I use this often, depending on where I'm going, to be able to put a layer of protection around my energy field. And you could feel the difference when I'm going into spaces that are a lot of people, or maybe if I have to go to spaces where it's not high vibrational kind of situations, and or holding space for people who are sick. Pacho is one of those medicines that just blowing the smoke kind of around you really keeps you grounded, and puts a layer of protection that keeps some of that, those parasitic energies and
You can
certain things
also
like
use
that.
it to clear it off. So you could use it before, or I like to use it after I've gone
Oh,
into spaces where I feel like I might have picked something up. Then I'll use Mapacho to clear.
oh,
And
that's good to know. Yeah,
the
because
other
yeah,
thing
go
that
ahead.
I feel called to speak to, because you brought up like parasites. So the female body is divine, right? And we're taught that like our period is yucky and mucky. And really, one of the medicines that women hold is our relationship to death.
Mm,
Our body can make life and chooses which lives come, whether we're choosing a partner or an egg got fertilized and our body decided it wasn't going to hold it, right? Our relationship with death, with this shedding and choosing, is your period. It is that you cycle with life and death, and death to create new life. Your body is cleaning itself out, and the beautiful design of the feminine body is that men don't have, is that we all hold heavy metals. We receive heavy metals in all kinds of forms, um, that have been added through man-made versions, but also in our water and things. Um, and parasites hold on to metals. They like metals in your body. Um, and your period releases heavy metals. So your body is literally purging anything that it's accumulated over the last 28, 29 days that does not serve life, that
Mm-hmm.
does not serve the creation of life and health. Your body is purging it once a month. And yes, it's painful. And yes, it's uncomfortable. And yes, that is amazing and divine for you to sit with what your body is letting go of. And that is why in a lot of ceremonies, they say if you're on your moon, you're already in your own ceremony. You don't need extra. You need to sit with that thing because your body is in a perfect rhythm already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Thank you for mentioning that too, because I feel like there's some young people who will definitely need to know this, who will see this at the right time. But even anyone at any age, like you mentioned some things that I didn't know, such as being able to clear ourselves with Mapacho as well, after the fact of a situation. But that is so true too with our body. It's just so beautiful and designed to deal with life and death, life
Mhm.
and death, which is interesting actually. And just a side note point that I'm realizing, because men's body only can deal with life; it doesn't go through a death thing. It doesn't have a death thing. Women's body deals with life and death. That's really interesting. I just kind of realized. Um,
And the
okay.
other thing that's truly amazing, which I read more recently, is like this idea that um, our like the responsibility you have to tend to your body as a woman because I, I'm born we are born as women with all of the eggs we will ever have the day we were born we can and those eggs all of those eggs we will ever have all of that potential for life to come into this world is in your mama's belly and in de facto you were in your grandma's belly then,
Mm-hmm.
in the form of potential. The egg that was you was in your grandmother's belly. And so the care at which the grandmother takes of her body affects her grandchildren. So
Mm-hmm.
you were then responsible to tend to your body, tend to your temple, tend to the rhythms, tend to the release, tend to the creation and rhythms of your body for your grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
And if your grandma didn't work on it, your mom didn't work on it, guess who's gonna have to deal with it?
Mm-hmm.
Guess who's gonna have to release that thing that grandma kept avoiding, right? Like, so how can we tend to our bodies with this like, wow, we get to hold this creation and the future of humanity with honor. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's just the female body is so nuts and awesome.
Yeah, so it's life, it experiences life and death every, so that's so awesome every month. But, and that's a good point. We have the future has always been in our ancestors' body. We have always been in our ancestors' body, not just our direct, who's in front of us mother, right? But our grandmother, our great grandmother, our great great grandmother, our great 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 grandmother, and so on and so forth. And then those that are coming thereafter, if you choose to continue to carry on, how many more generations are in you, right? In us for moving forward. It's so beautiful. But for those of us who may be going through, I've never had strong, I'm grateful, I've never had strong, like debilitating periods. Um, I have sisters who have, and who, Lord, they've been so bad, it's taken them to, they have had to go to the emergency room, because the pain is so hard or they're bleeding so much. And there is a coincidence there, though. Granted, they did not have a good diet. They didn't take care of themselves. They did things that were just, not good. And so the body would respond in a way, because what is it doing? It's going through a natural purging process. And we're not taught this in at least American schools, that that's what the body is really doing. It's energetically and physically and emotionally going through a purging process. It's clearing out, like she said, those heavy metals and other toxins out of the body, and also the death of this fetus that did not um, come to life. And so, if we already were not treating ourselves well, we were eating too much junk food or alcohol or whatever it is, the body's gonna wanna, and if we were taking in or creating within us emotional gunk, right? Maybe we had emotional gunk from the outside environment or within us created. And energetically, there's things going around the town, the city, who knows, right? We're also purging some of that. And so it can make the period heavier. Of course, there's more to bleed, there's more to process, there's more to let go of. So the press, and I experimented with this in myself just to test out what I've learned from other wise women, that when I took care of myself and when I kept track of my moon, and I'm saying this because this is something that we can use as a tool for as the full moon is coming up, and also as we're on our moon, it kind of does the same thing. And if you happen to be like me, where a lot of your periods tend to come, or your PMS starts to come as the full moon's coming at the same time, this works as well. But I noticed, let's just talk about with the periods, that when I prepared my body with grace, I'm hearing Spirit say, oh, thank you. I didn't realize that's what I was doing. But the way I gave my body grace was, I know that my PMS is happening, so I'm going to have some red raspberry tea. I'm going to have some more water. I'm going to make sure I have more salads. I'm going to eat more lighter. I'm still going to give myself the snacks, the goodies, but I'm going to make sure that they're not so detrimental to my body, or not too much of that, so there's not so much of it having to purge out. But I'm going to give myself grace as well, emotionally as well. Like, okay, yes, I'm agitated about these things going on, whatever. Well, emotionally, there's something that's purging out too. So giving myself grace, being more kind to myself, more gentle to myself, things like that. Give myself a bath, lather myself in rose oil or water, or put rose in the bath, Epsom salts, clearing, different things like this. Maybe a little more exercise, or maybe rest is what's needed, just more rest, these kinds of things. I notice what happens is I'm giving my body, I'm being an ally and a friend to my body, and giving it tools of supporting its process so it can do its job well and as smoothly as possible of clearing out whatever the heck it needs to clear out. And in return, it makes it minimal to no pain for me whatsoever. It makes it more of a smoother process than in it, because I didn't consume more blockages and boulders for it to have to process and clear out. I'm opening up the stream, the flow, for it to just eliminate whatever it needs to eliminate, and it makes it a smoother process. My sleep is better, my everything, my emotions are much better. Like today, what I'm going to do after this, I'm going to drink more water. I'm going to have my mushroom cacao drink, hot, like pure chocolate, that helps, with the emotions, with the heart, with the
The
brain, creates
minerals
some
that come in as your body's
minerals.
releasing the
Right.
toxins that it's been carrying, remineralizing. That's what herbal teas are, is remineralizing, regifting your body the bounty of nature that is here to support your life.
Yeah, and giving it the nourishment and the strength. Some of these herbs, like red raspberry leaf tea, is
Mhm.
support. It supports. It gives the body some strength. It's almost like, if you think, and I like to describe this to my kids this way, where you think, the body has fighters, has cells, has parts of us that are like gladiators in us. They fight for us. You get a foreign object in your body, like a virus, a flu, right? And what does the body do? It starts to sweat. It starts to, want to maybe throw up. It starts to get hot. Different things start to happen. And we tend to take certain medications to give us the temporary relief of those symptoms.
I'm not
But
a fan.
yeah, I'm not a fan either. But I don't, I'm not against any medical, any Western medical, anything. I think the band-aids are sometimes very necessary, and sometimes the band-aids are good, um, to uh, to give ourselves some mercy and grace for a second. If we don't know how to handle the process of the body's natural cleaning and cleansing and purging and regenerating itself, because that process, healing, is not pretty, is not fun sometimes, and sometimes it can be painful. You know,
I think
we
those
talk about
any medicine you engage with, whether it be a plant medicine or a Western lab created medicine,
yeah,
why am I engaging with this? Like,
yes, attention,
is this so unbearable right now that I need a little bit of temporary relief so I can get some sleep? Because my body really needs sleep.
yeah,
And, or am I doing this because I'm avoiding a lesson? Am I smoking because I'm avoiding looking at something? Am
right,
I engaging in that cocktail because I'm trying to numb myself out? And then what's going to happen when I engage in those cocktails a couple of times this month? Then my moon is going to kick my behind because I wasn't listening when my body was trying to get my attention.
right, right, and it just becomes that cycle that we get, can we, that we can get stuck in, right? Of if we avoid it, or if we genuinely use the tools of the band-aid medicine, right, to just support us in our process of going through, um, letting the body heal. But if you happen to have, whoever sweet person you happen to have, if heavy periods, or strong things like that, or maybe you notice that the way you are when the full moon is coming, you get more agitated at those times, honor that this is a process that the body is going through, and the mind, I just heard the spirit say, and the mind is even purging and clearing. And there's so many tools that you can use to help alleviate naturally, to help alleviate the pain and the discomfort of that process, because the process is going to happen whether we like it or not. It's not something that we all, anyone can avoid. We could just maybe prolong the, or it's like we can maybe put up a dam to the process, but the whole thing is gonna overflow and burst out anyways, and we don't want it to get to that point, because then it becomes even more painful of a process that we really don't need, when we could just let it leak out or let it flow naturally. So going to nature spaces is one of those things. Walking barefoot on the grass, on the beach, going to trails, places that where nature can take on some of that burden of that energy for us, because she has a much larger physical capacity to hold some of that than we do in these tiny little bodies. And so putting your hands on a tree, on the earth, putting your forehead to the earth, engaging in prayer, engaging in, that is medicine. I'm hearing spirit say that is medicine as well. And having a prayer circle like we're doing, connecting with like this with Miss Brooke and all the other prayer warriors that
Right.
would tune in, and and later on we'll see this and connect with me later, or we talk about what like that is also medicine for me in this process, and for us in this process that I'm going through, whatever I'm purging out at the moment from the moon cycle and my PMS coming. That is all a part of the process, and gives ourselves grace in that process. But we only do what we know how to do, of course, and we're doing the best that we can do. And I'm just letting you know, I know, because whoever's watching this at the right time that you're watching this, you're doing a great job because you're watching this and you're listening. If you made it this far in this video, I know that you are absorbing the medicine. You are absorbing, and you are ready to heal. You're ready to give yourself grace. You are ready to expand even more and let yourself be empowered, so that you can also show others how to be the medicine that they wish to see, right? To be the medicine to help them in their healing. Now, I want to start to close this out.
Let me do one thing and then I gotta go because I got a meeting I gotta go into.
Okay.
Um, I feel called to share that I'm a stubborn soul and I the God liked to tell me things and I liked to in my youth say, yeah, I'm gonna do what I want to do. And then God be like, okay, I'll take you straight to your knees. And you're going to pray and you're going to figure this out and you're going to be in pain and you're going to search for alternative options because this thing isn't going to work and you weren't praying, you weren't listening, right? And so when you're taken to your knees, when life is taking you to your knees in pain, when you feel confused, when you don't know the way, that's God working the
Mm,
magic. And the more you can surrender in those moments to listening, to what does my body need right now? And why? Why does it want that? Is that really the right thing right now? And just really, really listen because God is vibrating in every cell of your being every day. And you are perfect. And the process is perfect, even when it's painful. I
thank
love
you.
you, sister.
I love you. Thank you for sharing the medicine that you have,
Mm,
everyone. And I know
I'll
it's
be,
right on perfect time. It's going to be heard by exactly who needs to hear that.
I need to see you soon. Mwah.
Yes, I was thinking that too. I love you. I'll hit
Love
you up
you.
today, between today and tomorrow. Yeah,
Perfect. Okay.
love you.
Bye. Love you.
So I love my boo. I love my boo. I got a wonderful, I cultivated, sought out, and they came to me a wonderful group of beautiful women who I am so grateful for that have helped me in my healing, that I help support in their healing, and we just help each other learn more, grow more, and they've just inspired the heck out of me. They inspire me so much. And if you don't have a good group of women, go get you some. If you need one, I'm right here too. Also, I know, with needing to, I healed some mother issues, mother wounds as well. It was hard for me to have girlfriends, friends for a minute. So um, now being able to and learning how to be a friend has been such a process that I appreciate and I honor and I give thanks for that. And I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you to the Master, to the Creator. Thank you for these words of wisdom. Thank you for the medicine that you've brought through, the medicine of the wisdom that you've shown us and that you are channeling to us, and that you've also um, created for us to discover as well. I thank you so much, Baba. Thank you for creating, I heard Spirit say the balance. The balance. Beautiful, yeah. And there's one last thing I did want to finish with the moon cycle. So, just like when we're on our periods, right? If we support ourselves by giving our body, we become an ally, a friend to our body for our health. Why, hey, your body is doing its job. It's doing the best it can to do this job. So how can we be a great and excellent friend to our body to support her, support him, right? With medicines, with um, food, all the things we've mentioned. Same thing when there's a full moon coming up, on the 4 days of a full moon coming up. That's, you can notice some change happening, right? Maybe if there's an agitation starting to happen within you, it's giving yourself an opportunity to look at that, to also support the process of the birthing of that, of the passing of that, so it can come out and release. So you could be more whole and clear and clean, and even more in alignment, in clarity, right? And then notice how you feel on the day of the full moon. That's the day to really release. You could write down something like, I want to let this go, and I call in something new to replace, right? So when you clear out the rocks and the sticks of the soil with which where you're going to plant your seeds, you can plant your seeds in the new spaces. And then in the days following, after the full moon comes, this is a time where you, if you pay attention, people are more in a, generally everyone's more in a better mood. People feel lighter. The birthing pains of the full moon that was coming has relieved, right? The full moon got to its widest point, has birthed out whatever needed to be birthed out, and now, or release whatever needed to be released, and now it's closing back, closing back, closing back, and things are just contracting again and just becoming more smooth and ease. And you notice people are more open to opportunity, more happy during those times, and it's including ourselves. So, and so these things can be utilized, this noticing of these patterns can be utilized to our advantage, where we can get ahead of our life and even plan things in such a way to go with the flow of nature for our thrive, right? Because look around, nature goes with the flow and then it thrives. Then it sheds to release, let go, makes space for new, lets go of the old, and then continues the process of flow. So this is the medicine I wish for you, for all of us, to just be in flow with the divine as effortlessly and in full surrender as best as possible, with mercy and with grace. I call upon the Spirit team. I call upon Jesus, Mary, all of that which is of the tribe of light, which I call the tribe of light. Just all the angels, all the ascended masters, all the beings and the different parts of God that is the one God, our master that is within us, or however you call God, however you connect with that love source, right? I put it all into a tribe of light and thinking of it as a whole family, and yet also one being, one God. And so, however you call God, or what is your love base, call that in now. And I just thank you. We thank you. We're just giving thanks. I give thanks to your source. I give thanks to my source. I give thanks. I give thanks so much for helping us be in flow. And we ask for your support and to help us with the system, because we started out so interestingly. It's so funny. We started this prayer circle talking about how things were unfair in the system and the infrastructures of how things are with work and certain things for people, where people put out a lot of energy, but don't necessarily get compensated back properly. And my frustrations with that, but how the frustrations of that in the last couple of days brought me to remembering, oh yeah, well the full moons just come, and then also I'm about to PMS, so of course I'm agitated and something is moving through me now, and this is only one of my tools to help me move through, talking about it, connecting with friends, studying the Bible for me, going to take care of myself in a moment, going to nature as well. That's another way I'm going to take care of myself, making sure I drink plenty of water to support the energies, the toxins trying to move out emotionally and physically and energetically. And prayer. I thank you, Yahweh. I thank you so much for this spirit tribe, for this faith prayer circle. I thank you, tribe of light. I thank you, angels. I thank you to the spirit team for reminding us of what's important. Thank you for your grace. Thank you for your mercy. Thank you for guiding us and teaching any of the faith prayer warriors and anyone connected to them who need to understand and know, and me and all of us, how to flow, how to go with your flow. What is the best way for us to go with your flow? And thank you for your mercy in making that, not a painful process as much as possible. But of course, I know, Yahweh, I know that you know who's the stubborn of us and who needs maybe sometimes those painful lessons. So I just ask for mercy and your grace for them, and to move through and put your gentle hand of love and your sweet angel kisses upon them as they're moving through, kissing all their boo-boos and any other scars that are intentionally and unintentionally created along their way, as they become more and more in alignment with you, learn about themselves, learn about each other, and practice prayer as well, and practice prayer, and practice a relationship within. I thank you so much for your mercy and your medicine. And again, remember that verse for today was Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 21, where the Spirit just reminds us we are always provided for. We are always more than enough. I love you so much, and I pray this in Jesus Christ's name. I pray and I give thanks. I give thanks. I give thanks to the Most High God, the Most High God. Thank you, thank you, Spirit Guide team. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Ashe.